The space dock was never quiet at night. Engines hummed, sparks flew from welding torches, and tired workers dragged crates across the cold metal floor. Among them was a small figure in a gray hoodie, carrying a box that looked far too heavy for her thin arms. To anyone else, she was just another worker, faceless and unimportant, but to John, the human mechanic, something felt different. John had been working overtime again, fixing broken thrusters in Bay 9. He liked staying late, not because he wanted extra credits, but because the night shift revealed secrets. People dropped their guard when they thought no one was watching. And tonight, his tired eyes kept returning to the alien girl in the hoodie. She moved differently from the others, while most workers slouched and groaned. She carried her crates quickly, almost gracefully. She never spoke, not even when the overseer barked orders at her. Instead, she nodded, kept her head low, and vanished back into the shadows. John frowned, wiping the grease from his hands. Who was she? He had seen her before, always alone, always quiet. She avoided the worker groups who sat together at the end of shifts, sharing stolen bread or cheap drinks. She never joined, never laughed, never argued. It was like she was afraid of being noticed, and that bothered him more than it should one evening. John found himself standing near the cargo stacks, pretending to check his tools while watching her. She struggled with a crate nearly twice her size, the weight making her knees shake. Without thinking, he stepped forward. "Here, let me help," he said, his voice echoing softly. The girl froze, her hood hiding her face. She quickly pulled the box tighter against herself, shaking her head. "No," she whispered, her voice barely audible, and hurried away. John blinked, surprised. Most workers would have been glad for help, glad for someone noticing them, but she had reacted like a cornered animal, afraid of being touched, afraid of being seen. He narrowed his eyes, curiosity burning stronger now. The next night he tried again, this time offering her a bottle of water. "You look tired," he said, placing it gently on a nearby crate. Her hands trembled as she reached for it, but then she pulled back quickly, glancing over her shoulder, as if someone might punish her for drinking. She turned away without a word, leaving the bottle untouched. John felt a shiver crawl down his spine. Something wasn't right later as she bent down to lift another box. The sleeve of her hoodie slid back for only a second. John caught sight of faint glowing lines etched into her skin. They looked like symbols, markings that shimmered softly, alive with strange light. His breath caught. But before he could say anything, she yanked her sleeve down, hiding the glow, and hurried away. John leaned against the wall, his heart beating faster. She wasn't just a worker. He was sure of it now, those markings. That strange fear in her eyes, it meant something, but what? The overseer shouted again, breaking his thoughts. "Faster, you useless lot. We don't pay you to crawl." The girl lowered her head and obeyed, but John noticed the overseer's eyes lingered on her longer than the others, almost like he knew her secret too, almost like he was waiting that night. When most of the workers had left, John saw her slip into one of the darker storage halls instead of heading to the dorms. Quiet as a shadow, she disappeared between the containers. John's instinct screamed at him. He should leave it alone. She clearly didn't want to be followed. But the mechanic in him, the part that couldn't ignore broken things, made him take a step forward. The corridor was dim, lights flickering overhead. He walked slowly, listening to the faint echo of her footsteps. When he turned the corner, she was gone, vanished into the dark. John stood still, the silence heavy around him. His pulse quickened. She was no ordinary worker. Of that he was certain now. He returned to his workshop. But sleep never came that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the faint glow of those markings on her skin. He remembered the way she clutched her hoodie, hiding her face, hiding herself, and he wondered, what was she hiding from? And why did he feel that her secret could change everything? The space dock felt colder than usual as the lights dimmed to night mode. John sat alone, staring at his unfinished work. Somewhere in the shadows, the girl in the hoodie was hiding her truth. And deep inside, he knew sooner or later he would uncover it, even if it meant risking more than just his curiosity. The next day came with the same rhythm of noise and work. Engines roared, machines clanked, and voices shouted across the space dock. But for John, the mechanic, everything felt different now. He could not stop thinking about the alien girl in the hoodie, the worker who wasn't truly a worker. Her glowing markings haunted his memory. Her silence pressed on his thoughts. He told himself to forget her, to mind his own business. But his eyes searched for her anyway. She was there, moving crates as always. Head bowed, steps quick. The overseer barked commands.
And the others laughed and cursed, but she never joined them.
It was like she lived in a world of her own. John's hands itched to fix things. Broken engines, broken tools, broken lives. And she looked like someone broken too. Hiding under that gray hoodie, so once again he stepped closer. He set down his toolbox and walked toward her. She froze when she noticed, her shoulders stiff under the thin fabric. "Don't worry," John said softly. "I'm not here to bother you." She didn't reply, just kept her eyes on the ground. The silence stretched too long, finally. John placed a small piece of bread on the crate beside her. "You need to eat." "You'll collapse at this rate," he said. Her hand twitched, reaching halfway before pulling back like she had touched fire. I can't," she whispered, her voice trembling. Then she turned and walked away quickly. Almost running, John stood there, bread still sitting on the crate. He frowned, not in anger but in confusion. Why was she so afraid? Why did she act like kindness was a trap? Later that shift, John overheard the other workers whispering about her. "That strange one again," one said, "never speaks, never laughs. Probably not even worth a credit," another sneered. "She'll end up dead if she keeps drawing attention," someone else muttered darkly. John's stomach twisted. They spoke of her like she wasn't even a person, just a shadow. And yet, he had seen her hands glow with markings that no worker carried. That night, when the shift ended, John stayed behind, the workers left in groups, laughing, arguing, pushing one another. But the girl, as always, slipped away quietly. He followed at a distance, careful not to make noise. She turned down a corridor where the lights flickered weakly. Her steps quickened, her hood tugged lower. Then she stopped suddenly. Sensing something, her head tilted slightly, her body tense like a hunted animal. John pressed himself against the wall, holding his breath. A group of guards entered the corridor, their boots heavy on the metal floor. John's heart raced, the girl did not move. But in the dim light, her body seemed to blur with the shadows. When the guards passed, their eyes slid over her without stopping. It was as if she wasn't there at all. Only when they were gone did she continue walking, slipping into the storage hall beyond. John's mouth went dry. That was not normal. No worker could move like that. She was trained, skilled, something else entirely. He returned to his workshop shaken. She wasn't just hiding. She was surviving, but from what? From who? The following day, John decided to try again. When he saw her alone carrying a broken panel, he stepped in front of her path. "Wait," he said firmly but gently. She froze, clutching the panel like a shield. "You don't belong here," John said quietly. "I know it." Her hood shifted slightly, just enough for him to see the edge of her cheek, pale with faint glowing lines underneath. Her breath caught. Her grip on the panel tightened. "You should stay away," she whispered, her voice urgent, almost begging. "Why?" John asked. She shook her head, eyes still hidden. "Because if you don't, they'll notice you too." Before he could ask who they were, a loud crash echoed across the dock. Other workers shouted, and the overseer's voice bellowed. The girl used the distraction to slip away. Vanishing between the crates, John cursed under his breath, frustration and curiosity burning in him. That night, as he sat in his workshop, he realized something important. This was no simple mystery of a shy worker. There was danger here. Real danger, her glowing skin, her silence, her ability to disappear from sight. It all pointed to a truth larger than the dock, and somehow he was already tangled in it. The shadows of the space station seemed heavier that night. John looked out through the viewport at the endless stars. Somewhere in the cold dark of space, powerful forces were moving. And here, in this forgotten dock, a girl in a hoodie was hiding from them.
He did not know why. He did not know who hunted her.
But he did know one thing. He would not look away anymore for the first time. John felt the weight of a secret he hadn't even uncovered yet. And deep inside he knew whatever truth she was hiding, it was going to change his life forever. The space dock had rules, and one of them was simple. Workers were not meant to be noticed. They carried crates, scrubbed floors, fixed what was broken, and then disappeared. But John could no longer ignore the girl in the hoodie. Every day his eyes found her, and every night, his thoughts circled back to her strange silence, her glowing markings, her warnings. She had told him to stay away. Yet her words only pulled him closer. Who was she hiding from? And why did she act like even kindness could put her in danger? That evening, after most of the shift had left, John made a choice. He followed her again, careful, quiet. Keeping to the shadows, the station was alive with its usual noise. pipes groaning, vents hissing, distant engines humming. But the deeper he walked, the darker it became. The storage halls were almost empty, stacked with silent towers of cargo. She moved between them quickly, her hood pulled low, her steps too light for someone carrying such heavy loads. John's heart thumped in his chest. This wasn't a worker's walk, this was training. This was someone used to moving unseen. She slipped behind a tall stack of containers, and John hurried after her. But when he turned the corner, she was gone. The corridor stretched on, empty, cold. Only the sound of dripping pipes filled the silence. John stood still, scanning the shadows. How could she vanish so quickly? Then he heard it, faint but sharp, a whisper of breath behind him. He turned fast, but no one was there. The hair on the back of his neck rose. She was close, watching him, maybe even standing just a few steps away. "Why are you following me?" a low voice asked from the dark. John's pulse jumped. She had never spoken more than a few words, but now her tone carried weight, not fear, but warning. "I need to know," John whispered back. "You're not a worker, are you?" For a moment silence stretched between them. Then a shadow shifted, and she stepped out just enough for the dim light to touch her hood. "You shouldn't ask questions here," she said softly. Her hands clutched the fabric tighter, as if holding her whole identity inside it. "They'll notice you, and then you'll be gone too," John frowned. "They? Who's they?" But before she could answer, the heavy sound of boots echoed down the corridor. "Ours," the girl's head jerked up, her body stiffened without a word. She moved faster than his eyes could follow, sliding into the shadows between crates, gone as if she had melted into the walls. John pressed himself against a container just as the guards passed, their flashlights sweeping over the dark. "Still no sign," one muttered. "She has to be here," another growled. "Keep looking. The bounty's too high to ignore." John's blood ran cold. Bounty? They weren't searching for smugglers or thieves. They were hunting her. He waited until their footsteps faded before he dared to breathe. When he turned back, she was gone again, leaving nothing but silence. That night, John couldn't sleep. He sat in his small workshop, staring at the half-repaired thruster in front of him. The girl's words echoed in his mind. "They'll notice you, and then you'll be gone too." She wasn't just afraid. She was being hunted. The glowing markings, her ability to vanish, the guards searching the halls, it all fit together into one truth. She was not who she pretended to be, and her secret was bigger than anything John had imagined. The next day he tried to catch her again. When the workers gathered for food, she stayed at the far corner, as always. He carried his tray and sat across from her, ignoring the stares of the others. "You can't keep hiding forever," John said quietly. Her hood tilted just slightly, as if she wanted to look at him but was too afraid. "You don't understand," she whispered. "If they find me, if they see what I am, everyone around me will suffer." Her words sent a chill through him. This wasn't only about her, this was about something bigger, something dangerous. Before he could say more, a shadow fell across the table. The overseer stood there, his sharp eyes narrowing at the sight of John speaking to her. "You," he barked, pointing at the girl. "Crate duty. Now." She stood immediately, head low, and left without a word. The overseer's gaze lingered on John, cold and sharp. "You'd do well to stay away from that one. Human," he muttered. John forced a neutral look, but inside suspicion burned. The overseer knew something. He was keeping her under watch, maybe even keeping her trapped here. Later, John worked on a damaged transport. But his thoughts wouldn't rest. The girl's warning, the overseer's eyes, the guard's talk of a bounty. Everything screamed of secrets. And secrets never stayed buried, not in a place like this. Not with someone like him watching. That night he saw her again, slipping into the deeper halls. This time he didn't follow right away. He waited, watching as she moved like a shadow, disappearing into a locked storage room. When the door closed, he approached slowly, pressing his ear to the metal. Inside, faint humming sounds pulsed, strange, rhythmic, like energy flowing. He stepped back, heart pounding. What was she hiding inside? The truth was closer now, just within reach. But John also knew, if he pushed too far, the shadows that hunted her would soon hunt him too. The station hummed with the usual clatter of machinery, lights flickering over the cold metal floors. John walked slowly through the corridors, each step measured, careful. He had waited for this moment, waited for a chance to finally see what the girl had been hiding. She had vanished into the shadows the night before, leaving behind only whispers and the faint pulse of some hidden energy. Now, he followed the faint trail of glowing footprints she always seemed to leave, though no one else could see them. The deeper halls of the station smelled of oil and metal. Dark corners stretched far beyond the light of the overhead lamps. John's heart raced. Every instinct screamed caution but curiosity. And something stronger, something human, pulled him forward. Ahead, a soft light glowed from behind a heavy storage door. He crept closer, careful not to make a sound. Through the small gap beneath the door, he saw her, crouched over a small crate, her hands moving rapidly. Her hood was still pulled low, hiding her face. But the faint glow of her skin shone beneath the shadows. It wasn't just light, it was a pattern, a network of glowing lines running over her arms and neck. Pulsing gently, alive, John's breath caught in his throat. He had seen advanced tech before, but this was something else. Something natural and impossible at the same time. "Who are you?" he whispered, almost afraid to speak. The words barely left his lips before she froze. Her hands still, body tense. Slowly, she pulled back her hood, a movement so smooth it was like watching water flow. John's eyes widened. The girl he had thought was just a simple worker was not what he expected at all. Her face was human-like, but the patterns of light that ran over her skin shimmered like circuits. Her eyes glowed faintly, bright green, watching him, assessing, calculating. She was beautiful, yes, but there was also something dangerous, something alive in her glow. I didn't mean to follow you," John stammered. She tilted her head, studying him. "You shouldn't be here," she said, her voice low, carrying a warning and a sadness he had never heard before. "I can't hide anymore," she whispered. Almost to herself, John stepped closer, carefully, not wanting to scare her. "I can help," he said softly. I want to help." For a long moment, she didn't speak. Then slowly she extended a hand toward him. Her glow intensifying, John took it, feeling warmth and energy ripple through him. "You don't understand," she said. "If they find me like this, everyone I care about will be in danger. I was sent here to work, to hide, to survive, but it's not safe anymore." John swallowed hard. "Who sent you? What are you?" She looked down at her hands, glowing lines tracing every curve. "I'm not just a worker," she said quietly. "I am a guardian of something powerful, something they want. They think I'm just another alien laborer, but I am more. I carry knowledge. I carry energy they cannot control." John's mind spun. This was bigger than anything he had imagined. Her warnings, the bounty, the guards, it all made sense now. They weren't after a worker. They were after her secret, the power she carried, the truth hidden under her hoodie. "You don't have to hide from me," John said, his voice steady though his heart pounded. "I just want to understand, to help you stay safe." She studied him again, then slowly nodded. "Very few have been kind enough to see me," she admitted. "Most only see the uniform, the hoodie, the worker. You saw something else?" John's pulse quickened. Something clicked inside him. He realized he didn't just feel curiosity anymore. He felt responsibility. She needed him, and he couldn't walk away. Then, the lights in the hall flickered and a distant alarm buzzed. Her head snapped up, eyes wide, glow flaring brighter. "They found us," she hissed, moving quickly to a hidden panel in the crate. John followed, barely keeping up. She opened it, revealing a small, pulsating core of energy, glowing brighter than any light he had ever seen. "This is what they want," she said urgently. "This is why I hide, why I work, why I survive." John's mouth went dry. He had no idea what this energy was, but he understood one thing clearly. It was powerful, dangerous, and the wrong hands could destroy everything. "We have to move," she said, grabbing his arm. "Follow me, but don't touch anything. Don't make a sound." John nodded, his mind spinning with questions, fear, and awe, as they moved down the dark corridors together. He realized the truth. Nothing would ever be the same. The girl in the hoodie was not just a worker. She was a secret, a weapon, a mystery. And now she had chosen him to be part of it. And once secrets are out, there is no going back. The station's alarms blared through the metal halls. A sharp, urgent scream that rattled the walls. John's heart pounded, his hands gripping tightly to the girl's. Her glow lit the dark corridor, casting strange shadows on the walls. Every step they took seemed louder than the last, the echo of their movement chasing them as much as whatever danger followed. "They're coming," she hissed, her green eyes darting down every hallway. "They won't stop until they have it, until they have me." John swallowed hard, trying to steady his nerves. "This way," she whispered, leading him into a narrow side passage, barely wide enough for two. The walls hummed with power, old circuits running through them. John felt the energy pulse through the floor. Under his boots, like the station itself was alive. Behind them, distant footsteps grew louder, heavy, mechanical. They weren't just guards, these were security drones. Automated, relentless. John's mind raced. He had no weapons, no plan. Only trust in the girl who had pulled off her hoodie and revealed a world he never knew existed. "Run," she breathed, pulling him faster. They turned a corner and nearly collided with a stack of crates. Her hand left his briefly to push a crate over the narrow passage, creating a barrier. The drones would need a moment to adjust. Every second counted. John struggled to keep up, the energy in her hands pulsing brighter with every step. "It's okay," she said, though her voice held tension. "You just need to follow me. Trust me, don't look back." He nodded, though fear gnawed at him. This chase was real, and he realized now how fragile life could be in a place like this. The glow from her skin illuminated strange symbols on the walls, glowing faintly as if reacting to her presence. John had never seen anything like it, and the realization hit him hard. She wasn't just carrying power, she was part of it somehow. They reached a large chamber, machinery spinning, pipes twisting like metal snakes. She paused. Pressing a hidden switch on the wall, a panel slid open, revealing a vertical shaft, dark, almost invisible except for the faint light of her glow. "This will take us to the maintenance tunnels," she said, her voice urgent. "Once we're in the tunnels, it's harder for them to follow, but it's still dangerous." John looked down the shaft, the drop dizzying, the unknown stretching below them. "Come on," she urged, taking the first step. John followed, every muscle tense, every breath shallow as they descended. The walls of the shaft hummed, vibrating with energy. John's hand brushed against the metal, and he felt a tingling shock run through him. "It's okay," she said quickly, sensing his fear. "The energy here won't hurt you, but it will guide us." John focused on her glow, letting it lead him down, deeper into the bowels of the station. Above them, alarms echoed, footsteps pounding. He knew the drones were not far behind. Relentless, programmed to capture or destroy. They reached the bottom, entering a maze of narrow tunnels, pipes overhead hissing steam. She moved quickly, taking corners sharply, her glow shifting from green to a soft blue as if signaling safety. John tried to memorize the path, every turn, every obstacle, but it felt like they were running in circles. Suddenly, a loud mechanical voice boomed through the tunnels. "Target detected, pursuit initiated." John froze for a split second. Then she grabbed his arm, dragging him forward. "They found the energy signature," she said, her eyes wide. "They know exactly what we're carrying." John's stomach sank. The chase had just begun and they were already too close. Ahead, the tunnels split into three paths, each twisting into darkness. She paused, listening, then pointed to the left. The faint glow of energy guiding the way. John ran, trying to match her speed. The sound of pursuit echoed closer, the mechanical steps beating like war drums. Then, without warning, a trap, part of the tunnel shifted, walls sliding suddenly, blocking the left path. She cursed under her breath, spinning around. "Quick!" she shouted, pulling him to the right path. The other tunnel opened just in time for them to slip through behind them. A drone slammed into the wall where the passage had been, sparks flying, metal screeching. John's lungs burned, but he kept running. Every step, every turn, adrenaline pushing him forward. She glanced at him once, green eyes blazing. "Stay close," she said. "I can't do this alone anymore." And in that moment, John realized that he wasn't just following her because he wanted to understand. He was running because he had chosen to. Because somehow he had become part of her fight, part of her world, and no matter what happened, he couldn't turn back. The tunnels twisted and turned. A maze of metal pipes and glowing conduits. John's boots echoed against the floor, his breath ragged, every nerve alive with tension. The girl's glow pulsed brighter now, almost like a heartbeat lighting their path behind them. The mechanical footsteps of the drones grew louder, sharper, closer. John's hands ached from gripping the railing along the walls, but he could not let go, not now, not ever. They reached a cavernous chamber, walls lined with strange devices that hummed with energy. The air was thick, charged, almost alive. The girl paused, her eyes scanning the room. "This is it," she whispered. John looked around, unsure what it meant. The devices glowed softly. Wires stretched across the room like metal veins. Energy crackled in the air, making the hairs on his arms stand on end. She turned to him, her expression serious. "John, you need to see this," she said. Her hand moved over the front of her hoodie, and then slowly, deliberately, she pulled it off. John's eyes widened as the full sight hit him. Underneath, her body was marked with glowing symbols, intricate patterns that shifted and changed like living tattoos. They pulsed in rhythm with the energy in the room. Her eyes blazed green, reflecting the light around her. This is why they are after me," she said, her voice trembling. "I'm not just a worker, I'm something else." John felt a mix of awe and fear. "I don't understand," he said, voice barely a whisper. "You're human?" he asked, though he already knew she wasn't. She shook her head. "No, human would never survive this," she said. "The energy inside me, it's ancient, powerful, dangerous if uncontrolled." John stepped closer, trying to steady himself. He had never seen anything like this, and yet he felt a strange trust, a strange connection. "This is why you hid the hoodie," he said. Her lips curved slightly, almost a smile. "Yes," she said. "I had to look like an ordinary worker. Ordinary, invisible." Suddenly, the drones entered the chamber, their metal bodies glinting in the glowing light. John felt panic rising, but the girl held up her hands. Energy shot from her palms, a brilliant green light that lit the room. The drones paused, whirring and sparking. As if confused by her power, John watched, astonished as she moved, the energy following her movements. Bending to her will, she stepped forward, a wave of light washing over the machines. The drones fell to the ground, disabled, circuits smoking. John realized then how strong she truly was. Not just strong in body, but in something much older, much greater. She turned to him, eyes intense. "John, I needed you to see this, to understand," she said. He nodded, still trying to catch his breath. I do," he said. "You're amazing," he added, though it sounded small compared to what he saw. She smiled faintly, but there was tension in her face. "They won't give up," she said. "Others will come, stronger, smarter, faster." John felt a chill run down his spine. He had thought the chase was over, that they had escaped, but this was only the beginning. Suddenly, one of the devices in the room pulsed, brighter than the others. The girl's eyes widened. "That's the source," she whispered. John looked, confused. "The energy. It's coming from there," she said, pointing to a circular panel in the wall humming with raw power. "It's ancient, from before my kind even existed." John felt a shiver of awe. This is why they want you," he said. She nodded, stepping closer to the panel, energy flowing from her body into the device. John watched, unable to move. The room lit up, the energy thrumming like a living heartbeat. He realized then that she wasn't just running for her life anymore. She was activating something, controlling something beyond comprehension. The drones outside the chamber started pounding on the metal doors, trying to break in. She turned to John, green eyes blazing. "Listen to me," she said urgently. "I can hold them off, but I need you to help me get to the next level." John's heart pounded, but he nodded. "I'm with you," he said. She smiled faintly, a mix of relief and determination. "Good," she said, "because once we leave this room, there's no turning back." Energy crackled around them, the glow pulsing brighter, almost blinding. John felt it against his skin, warm, almost alive. The girl's power was incredible, terrifying, but he trusted her completely. He had no choice, because he had already chosen to stand with her, to fight beside her, and now with the secret revealed, he understood the full weight of what that choice meant. The door to the next level opened with a hiss, the energy in the room intensifying. She grabbed his hand again, pulling him forward. "This is it," she said. "The real challenge starts now." John took a deep breath, gripping her hand tightly. Together, they stepped forward into the unknown, the glow of her power lighting the path, and the echo of the drones following behind, relentless, unstoppable. The corridor stretched before them like a river of shadows. John's heart pounded in his chest, every step echoing off the cold metal walls. The girl's hand in his was warm, steady, glowing faintly with the energy that pulsed beneath her skin. They had reached the last level of the complex, the place the drones had been guarding for so long. She glanced at him, her eyes sharp, green and bright in the dim light. "John, stay close," she whispered. "I can feel them coming, stronger than ever, from the shadows ahead." Movement stirred, metallic bodies larger than before, with red sensors scanning the air. The drones had evolved, upgraded, more dangerous. John swallowed hard, but he stayed close, his grip firm on her hand. "Ready?" she asked. "I'm with you," he said. She nodded and took a deep breath, her glowing patterns brightening, illuminating the corridor like a living torch. As they moved forward, the first wave of drones appeared. They charged with mechanical precision, claws and blades glinting. The girl lifted her hands, and energy erupted in a green wave. The drones halted mid-step, circuits sparking, some collapsing instantly. John's eyes widened at the sheer force she commanded, but there were too many, and more poured from the side tunnels, relentless, organized. Unyielding, John knew he had to act. He scanned the room, looking for anything that could help. His eyes fell on the ceiling conduits, thick wires humming with raw energy. "Up there," he said, pointing. She looked, and a faint smile curved her lips. "You're learning," she said. Together, they devised a plan. John would climb to the conduits, use his tools to create a short circuit. The girl would hold off the drones until he completed the task. He ran, agile despite the fear, climbing the wires like a practiced climber. The drones reached them, and she unleashed waves of energy, blasting them back. John's hands shook as he connected the wires, sparks flying. The energy surged, brighter and stronger than anything he had ever seen. The entire corridor lit up, the drones screeching in frustration and malfunction. But one drone remained, larger than the others. A sentinel designed to protect the core. It stepped forward, red eyes glowing. "This one," the girl muttered. The leader, John, completed the circuit, and the energy from the conduits merged with hers. The light around her intensified. Almost blinding, she stepped forward, fearless. The sentinel attacked, blade swinging. She dodged, moving faster than John could track. Energy shot from her palms, striking the drone repeatedly. It staggered but refused to fall. John grabbed a metal pipe, swinging it at the drone's joints, sparks flying together, human and alien. They were a perfect team. Finally, with a powerful surge, the sentinel collapsed. Circuits fried, red sensors dimming. John fell to the floor. Breathing heavily, she turned to him, glowing faintly, eyes soft now. "You did it," she whispered. "We did it," he corrected, smiling weakly. The chamber beyond the sentinel was open now. Inside, a control hub hummed with ancient energy. Pulsing like a heartbeat, the girl stepped forward. Placing her hands on the core, energy flowed through her, patterns across her body shining brighter than ever. John watched, fascinated, terrified. The power was immense. Almost too much for anyone being to control. "John, I can stabilize it, but I need you to stay here," she said. He shook his head. "No, I'm with you, remember?" She smiled, faint, grateful. "Then hold on," she said, and the energy pulsed, filling the entire chamber. The drones outside were silent now, destroyed or disabled, but the energy in the core reacted violently, walls shaking, lights flickering. The girl concentrated, green energy radiating, patterns flowing over the walls. John held her hand, lending his strength. Standing together as the room trembled, a final surge shot out, and the core stabilized, glowing calmly. The girl's patterns dimmed to a soft glow, her body exhausted but alive. John pulled her close, relief washing over him. "We made it," he whispered. "Yes," she said, leaning against him. "They will not come for me again." They exited the complex together, the night sky stretching above them. Stars shining brightly. John looked at her, amazed at everything she had done. You are incredible," he said. She smiled faintly, tired but happy. "Not just me," she said, "us." John nodded, understanding. They had faced impossible odds, uncovered secrets, fought machines and fear itself, and now they were free together, stronger than ever. As they walked into the forest beyond the facility, the wind whispering through the trees, John glanced at her, a soft glow still radiating from her skin. "Next time," he said, teasing lightly. "There better not be a next time," she replied, but a small smile betrayed her exhaustion. They laughed, the sound echoing into the night. And for the first time, John knew the truth. This wasn't just an alien girl he had discovered in a hoodie. This was a being unlike anything in the galaxy, and he was lucky to be by her side. Together, they vanished into the night, leaving the complex, the drones, and the fear behind, the stars above shining like witnesses to the secret that had been revealed. And the bond they had formed, unbreakable, eternal, the galaxy would not forget the night John and the hidden worker became unstoppable. And for them, freedom had finally arrived.